Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Edwards to a Degree podcast. This is episode number 12. And I'm here today. I'm Jasmine, and I'm going to be the host. You're probably familiar. If you watch the podcast, you're familiar with me. But if this is your first episode, I'm Jasmine. I'm based at the Eastbourne product company. I work in the technical support department. And I'm an electrical and electronic engineer. So I'm going to hand over and introduce our guests today. So we've got Debbie.
Hiya, I'm Debbie. I'm a manufacturing degree apprentice. I'm studying at Chichester University with Neve and Cliff. I'm studying a mechanical degree, and so far it's going good. So yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Debbie. Cliff.
Yeah, hi. I'm Cliff. I'm working in the Eastbourne product company. Along with Debbie and Jasmine. I'm working in the new products department where I'm sort of assisting some full-time engineers.
Thanks, Cliff. And Neve.
Hiya, I'm Neve. I'm based at Burgess Hill and I'm doing a mechanical degree with Cliff and Deb at Chichester. But I work as a development technician at Burgess Hill.
Cool, awesome. Well, welcome to the podcast. So the episode today, we're going to introduce our new apprentices and basically kind of do a refresh of what we did in our first ever episode of the podcast. So we're going to find out about the new apprentices, their kind of journey towards a degree apprenticeship and how they're doing so far. So my first question for you guys is, at what point kind of in your life or in your careers did you realise that you wanted to do a degree apprenticeship?
I myself have had some work before joining this company and joining the apprenticeship. In the line of work that I was doing before this, I realised there was a bit of a ceiling to what I could achieve in that line of work, but I knew that I could do more with myself and achieve more. So I wanted the challenge and I wanted to improve myself. So I sought about doing that. And I suppose I was thinking about it for the last couple of years before applying. And it was just in contacting the Ask an Apprentice email link on the Edwards website. I got in touch with Jasmine, no less.
Yes.
And she encouraged me to just apply. And next thing I know, here I am. And I really count myself lucky to be one of the apprentices here.
Yeah, and I hope you got the challenge that you were looking for.
Certainly a challenge.
So I came to Edwards straight from college. I didn't take a year out or anything. And my school had like a real focus on UCAS and applying to university. A lot of my family did apprenticeships, so I knew it was a route that I could take.
Yeah.
I mean, I did part-time work in only retail alongside college, and I really enjoyed the workplace and just the culture of work in contrast to college. That's when I started thinking about it more seriously. Like, if I thrive in that sort of environment, that's what I should pursue.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Debbie?
For me, I've kind of always wanted to go to uni. It's always been a choice and like one of the only choices. But then I realized that you can earn money and you can get work experience and you can have that kind of path kind of laid out for you while gaining a degree all at the same time. So it's always like when I found out about it kind of like year 10 or something like that, I've like always just kind of aimed to try and get a degree apprenticeship.
So for Neve and Debbie and also you, Cliff, so once you found out that you wanted to do a degree apprenticeship, what was your kind of process for applying, or like what sites did you go to? Did you have any contacts?
So I initially spoke to someone who I knew worked here for advice about pursuing a STEM career. And she was so helpful and said that, yeah, go for it. I had a call that my now manager set up, Beth, with the other two apprentices. They like answered a lot of my questions. So that was when I like solidified, okay, actually Edwards looks really cool, I'm gonna try there. So I actually applied for Edwards. I applied for Burgess Hill and Eastbourne through the government website.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What about you, Debbie?
Personally, I've applied to quite a few apprenticeships. And I did get a couple offers, but I found that Edwards personally was the best, because they really do have that kind of like a structure to the apprenticeship that other places just don't have. So when I did apply, I kind of put a lot of my effort into Edwards because it really is just like a very different, even the like application process was different to the rest of the companies, which I found was really fair.
I think I remember you saying as well that the school that you went to actually like advertised Edwards there.
Like honestly, because it was so long ago, I can't remember exactly how, but I do remember being recommended to look into Edwards and to consider, even if it was quite far away, because I did move down quite a distance. But honestly, I have no regrets. It's one of the best decisions I've made. So
that's cool. That's cool. That's good to hear. What about you, Cliff? Did you only apply to Edwards, or did you take a chance with other companies?
I was a bit like Neve. I found Edwards just through looking online, and I applied through the .gov website. But I also had a CV, and I felt that just sending in a CV was also just as appropriate as filling out the application on the .gov website. So I did both options, one on the Edwards website and one through the .gov website. And yeah, I think what drawn me to Edwards was that obviously I'm a few years older than the rest of the apprentices, so I'm not like a mature student, but I'd worked in a few companies, and what was really important to me was finding a company that I knew would look after me and would want to see me succeed. So I just did a bit of background research, and the company spoke to me in a way that they presented themselves, that this is the kind of culture that I want to be a part of. So for me, I chose to apply to just both of the Edwards positions, one in Burgess Hill, one in Eastbourne, and I live fairly locally, so I didn't look much further outside of that area, because I did kind of have sort of like personal commitments to the area. So I don't underestimate, it's a big thing for people to move to a new place, to start a new chapter in their life in university, but to move house and where you live as well is also a big thing too. So I sort of went down the easy road and moved found somewhere which was near me.
Which is quite lucky that you did have somewhere that was close, that worked out for you, that you felt you kind of fit in with the culture.
Yeah, because there's not actually very many places that offer degree apprenticeships. Like, that's one of the other things that I came up against while looking. It was so lucky Edwards was on my doorstep, because like Cliff, I'm quite local, but there's quite a lot of level 3 and level 4 opportunities, but not many degrees.
Yeah, that's the reason why we all go to the University of Chichester. And for us who are based in Eastbourne and Burgess Hill, it's quite a trek. But the reason is because there's not any other universities that are closer than that actually offer degree apprenticeships. And as far as I'm concerned, I think degree apprenticeships only became a thing in like 2015. Don't quote me on that, because I don't know if that's the actual year, but do you know what I mean? They're really new, not only to companies but universities as well. So there's still lots of universities that don't even offer it.
I was quite familiar with Edwards before I even applied, because my parents used to work here.
Okay.
I was very familiar with the company culture. We still have like family friends here, because I think they're quite renowned for people staying a long time. So family friends that my parents made in the 90s are still here. So I knew, okay, the culture is still really positive. Like, how cool would that be if I went back? So
like the family legacy of being at Edwards.
It's a blessing and a curse.
I personally found the application process to be kind of more personal,
Mm.
because the tasks that were set weren't just work-based, knowledge-based, education-based. It was kind of like, let me get to know you in a kind of funky way.
Yeah.
And see your thought process behind things and like how you would work a situation, even if it has nothing to do anything. Because I think like the task that was assigned was something to do with like a cinema, and we obviously don't work for a cinema, but they were just putting you into situations where you don't really know anything, and to see how you would kind of interact with other people and kind of things like that. So I found that quite different to how other companies did it. Yeah. And it was because other companies that I applied for were kind of based on like, you have to know this very specific knowledge that you literally have to get a degree for to know. And it's just like a lot. It was just a very different process that I found.
Yeah, I think you can tell a lot from the application process as well about just a company's logic. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a very good first impression.
When you're going through the application process, it's kind of your opportunity to see the company as well. And that's something that no one ever told me before I did interviews, but it's only something that I realized afterwards. And it is really important. Like when you're going through, even if it's university, even or a job or anything, when you're at that stage where you're trying to get hired, it's also the opportunity for you to reflect on the company itself and see whether you actually feel good there and whether it seems like a good place to work.
The application process for me seemed like, the company, like Debbie said, they wanted to get to know you. They sort of, I found that they were sort of targeting perhaps more your attributes rather than your specific knowledge.
Yes.
Yeah, you can train somebody and give them some knowledge, but you can't change that person's personality. So they were looking for the character of a person, as well as just their logic reasoning, their ability to problem solve, and so on. And that to me, was really great. And if we've got a company with lots of people like that, then this is a company that's going places and will succeed, really, in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's something worth mentioning, is that like I've spoken to managers and people who hire kind of graduates that come straight out of university, and a common thing that I've heard is that a lot of graduates that come out of university, they're capable in terms of academically, but their soft skills or their kind of personality is not suited for work, because they've been so long with either not working or just kind of solely focusing on academics and studying, that it's really difficult sometimes to make the transition into work because you're not used to that type of environment. I think in a workplace, the soft skills are kind of more important.
Because I was quite local, I could ask people that I knew who were involved in the engineering world if they had heard of Edwards, and one person who I did ask did say that they had heard of them, they'd worked with them, and that that they were top quality. What he meant by that, I wasn't sure. Was it top quality products? What was it? Top quality people to work with? Either way, to get a recommendation from somebody who I knew and trusted locally made a big difference for me.
Yeah, because then that people who interact with this company are, they come away satisfied. Definitely.
To kind of build off of that point that Cliff just made, someone in my family, they knew about AtlasCopco, but they didn't know about Edwards. So they said that even like just being under AtlasCopco is quite kind of the place to be.
Yeah.
Because you can honestly go anywhere from wherever you are under AtlasCopco. So that kind of also encouraged me further to kind of push to be in Edwards as well.
Yeah, definitely. For anyone listening who doesn't know what AtlasCopco is, just a quick explanation. So there's lots of companies that are under the company, which is AtlasCopco. So they're kind of just like our parent company.
After we started, we had a meeting with all of the company presidents from all the different divisions, in the vacuum technique under AtlasCopco, and it was really good to hear their background and their story, and they were really interested in talking to their early careers people. And it wasn't just, oh, they are unimportant because they aren't, senior engineers. They looked at us who are younger and they thought, wow, they're important, they're our future, and we want to, welcome them. But that's something that's happened in the first, in the first 3 months of us being here, and I thought, wow, that's great.
Having those meetings kind of showed how large the scope, like, past Edwards is, and how you can keep applying to that internal job market, as they call it.
I think it was like really just engaging to see how passionate they were about us, because it's like, we're not just tea makers.
We really tried to debunk that misconception. None of us ever make tea except for ourselves.
The president's time felt precious, so the fact they were like just spending half an hour talking to us, I think there was 7 of them, like it almost humanized them, if you know what I mean. It's like you don't want to waste their time, because so the fact they were giving us their time, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely. So you guys have been here now for 3 to 4 months ish. How can you guys give us a bit of an insight into what work you're actually doing in your kind of respective departments?
I already said at the intro that I'm working in the new products department, and that's just basically the department that takes new technology and new ideas, or fulfilling customer needs, as it were. They want something out of our products, and we found a gap in the market. We do our best to make sure that product is designed very well, thought through, and basically taken through all the steps that it needs to bring it to reality, really. And that's really exciting. It's one department that you're really making something out of nothing. In the first year, we all do our rotations around the company, just so we get to know people, we get to know how everything's done, and where everyone is and where everything is as well. So I'm in this department right now, but I'll move around different departments as well.
As Cliff mentioned, we're currently going through a rotation, and I'm working in sales support, which basically supports the shop floor and kind of helps when things go wrong. So at the moment, I'm kind of just working on SOPs, which are standard operating procedures, which are basically manuals on how to make products and how to build them on the shop floor, so that the people working there can refer back to that guide and make sure that the components are right and make sure everything is kind of, that they're not doing it wrong. So something that I've found helpful is that I kind of get to know not just the engineers of the company, and get to know all the people who are building the products that we're selling, and kind of looking at the quality of the products and looking at how we can kind of speed up the process or make something more efficient, use less screws, or kind of time consumption, things like that. I found that sales support is really good for that side, this kind of social side, but you also get to work with the senior engineers who have been working on these lines for years and watching these products come and go. So it's good to get knowledge from kind of everyone and input from everyone.
Definitely, yeah. I think from my time of being here, there's I wouldn't say a divide, but there's kind of not that much communication that goes on between engineers who kind of work in the upstairs office and the operators, the shop floor workers who are building the actual products. So it's good to get that really good kind of foundation and like a base network with people working the operators, because then later on you've still got those connections there.
You really get to know what they want to see and how they see the company improving, and what's slowing things down, what are the pressures. So just to have our first month doing that was really good, and I would always want to take that experience on with me.
The structure of the business at Burgess Hill was quite different because we're GTC, so the Global Technology Centre, and it's where I think it's Vacuum Technique's headquarters. So
yeah.
It's where all the NTV goes on. So that's new technology validation. So where things go from drawings to prototypes. So I'm a technician with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I spend like the majority of my time in the labs making prototypes. I say making, I shadow at the moment. I shadow the other technicians, and it's all learning at the moment. The rotations work differently at Burgess Hill, so I don't think I'll rotate around the company. I'll get exposure to the different teams by handling their work. I'll stay a technician through the 4 years.
It's interesting to hear about how it works at Burgess Hill, and it sounds really exciting because like our office space, our lab space, our equipment, a lot of it is a bit outdated. We've still got like cathode ray tube like oscilloscopes and stuff like that. So it's really cool to hear about how it's done at the Global Technology Centre, because everything is like really modern and like up to date there. So I imagine that you get to use like some really cool like high tech equipment and stuff like that.
Yeah, if I knew how to use it.
Well, you will at some point.
Still all the learning curve. Yeah, it's quite cool to have like hands-on experience with mistakes, if that makes sense, because there's so many, like that's the whole point of development.
Jasmine, you're in tech support, aren't you?
Yes.
So really, right now, in this episode, we've got someone from the start to the finish of this process. Almost, we might have our own roles, but we're all one big team. We try to do the best for for every person involved. If somebody in the new product team didn't do such a good job, I think technical support would have a few things to say about what I've done.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, we all try to do our best, and I think I really see that from everyone, and they're also really helpful. So if you just talk to somebody from Jasmine, your team, there's a couple of very, very knowledgeable people, and I'd say they're some of the most knowledgeable people in tech support. As an apprentice, you can ask those questions, and they're not silly questions if you're an apprentice, because you're not expected to know them already. Exactly. And that's a great thing about being an apprentice, rather than coming in maybe as a graduate. Of course, there's less pressure on a graduate as well, but as an apprentice, you can just sort of muddle your way through and find out sometimes the hard way, and people will tell you.
Yeah,
right.
Definitely. Like you've got someone has said this before, and it's really like stuck with me. It's like you've got room to learn, and it goes back to what you were saying, Neve, like you've got the room to make mistakes. And I think that that's something that you don't get at university, and it's something that's really frustrating for me because for example, you get I got a workplace project, which is where you kind of report on a project that you're doing at work, but you submit it to university. So it's kind of you work on your technical reporting skills. But in our case, they kind of didn't teach us how to write a technical report. So we were left with kind of, we had to submit something that would be a part of the degree that we receive at the end, and it would go to, that mark that we got for that assignment would be with us forever. But it was just a completely new thing, and we kind of just had to work it out. And you didn't have that room and that space to learn and to make the mistakes with that. And I find that as well for coursework and things like that we get assigned. All of it's very new, but you kind of have to get it right straight away. Otherwise, it's really hard to come back from that. Whereas at work, because there's no examinations at work, you just have to do your best all the time. But sometimes even if your best isn't enough, no one's going to scold you for that. And you're not going to get completely screwed over just because you made a mistake or you didn't know something.
I think here we always take the approach. Obviously, success is our end goal, but we get there through mistakes. So it's from the mistakes that we know where the limits of things are.
Yeah.
And how we can develop. Like, they're not a bad thing. It's how you progress.
Edwards has quite, since it's not in like the spotlight, like larger companies are, you kind of, so like if someone asks you, oh, who do you work for? What do you do? You can kind of say it and then have a sort of pride in yourself because Edwards has done so much that no one really knows about. So then you can kind of explain to different people what Edwards has done and kind of introduce people to a whole other side of things that most people wouldn't consider, because when you see a flashy name, you're like, oh, okay, I know that brand, they did something. But when you hear about, it's not even like a smaller brand.
It's just non-existent in the public eye.
Like when you hear about something that you've never heard before and someone tells you about all the things that Edwards has done, you can kind of just like, you know, kind of flex basically. But like also kind of teach people as well. So.
Yeah, definitely. I love telling people about what I do, even though most people they're just like they listen for a second and then they're like, okay, she's gone like engineer mode. I don't know what she's saying anymore. So we've spoken a lot about work related things, and I think we're all good there. But what about the kind of university side of things? How are you finding the experience?
I mean, I think I found university, you know, coming into university thinking I may never do this one day. I was kind of thinking, you know, any university will do, and I kind of found out that it was Chichester before I applied to the job. So it was great, and I was thinking, okay, yeah, that's within my range of being able to get to university. The days are long, and they vary from year to year. In the first year, we've got like a day of theory, and then we've got some laboratory work on the second day in the morning. So that makes up the 1.5 days in the first year. And it's kind of, I found it good to have it split up into 1.5 days, because if you weren't quite ready for your laboratory work on Tuesday, you've got it on Wednesday. So you kind of got overnight to sort of do a bit more work for your lab work. This is an excellent opportunity. You know, whichever university I went to, it means that I'm getting higher education, and that matters a lot to me, you know, and that's why I've done it, you know, really.
Yeah, I'd say about uni, like, it's obviously an amazing opportunity, the fact that we can, like, I'm just so grateful that the scheme works like it does, because the fact we're getting our degrees alongside work, it's still kind of mad to me. I have struggled a little bit with just timekeeping, because personally I like to do everything well. But it's not fun to do that. Like, I've had like a bit of a panic about the fact I've realised, okay, we're getting our degrees, but it's not just for us, it's for the company. Like, we're an investment to Edwards. So I have to do well. Like, we have to do well. Whereas HR have said to me, snap out of it. It doesn't necessarily, like, it's good you're thinking like that, but it's you're going to burn out. So like, the actual work we're doing, I find really interesting. I'd say more the admin that I struggle with.
I like the uni because you kind of get to experience the way how people from different fields teach different things. So, for example, our maths teacher, he's not from the STEM department. He's from he's from the maths department, but he teaches in a kind of different way to, for example, like our electrical lecturer, who teaches in a different way to our mechanical lecturer. And I think it's good to kind of get that range and see the way how different people teach different things, and because obviously if you've come from doing your A-levels or BTEC, then you were probably taught something similar but in a completely different way, so it kind of opens your eyes to a different way to viewing things. And the labs also is good because you get to know all the different lecturers, you get to work with them, and you get to kind of experience them in a it's not informal, but in a more informal way than it would be in a lecture. So you can just kind of throw a question at them, and they'll answer as best as they can without giving everything away.
Yeah. It's a bit more of like an interaction as opposed to them just talking at you during a lecture. It's more of like a back and forth.
Yeah, I actually find labs are where, personally, I'm not speaking for Deb and Cliff, but that's where I learn the most, because it's very much more independent. Like, you do the lab, you have to know what you're doing going in, and then you have to figure out what the meaning of it all is. Yeah. I find that's like a very productive way of learning personally.
I agree with you there. And the thing that I love about labs is that using all the like modern technology, like non-CRT oscilloscopes, like just new, like brand new oscilloscopes.
Yeah, they have the one thing about the uni, they have very, very good facilities. Like,
yes,
it's been recently upgraded, I think would be the word. That's quite cool to be learning in that environment.
In terms of your future at Edwards, but also maybe past Edwards, what are kind of your goals for kind of the next sort of 10-ish years? So after you finish your apprenticeship.
Personally, I mean, it's still really early days, but I can see myself staying with Edwards for quite a long time. I'm really enjoying it. So I'd like to hopefully join the grad scheme. Potentially pursue a master's through the company. So yeah, definitely staying internally, I think.
Cool.
I personally see myself as staying with the company in the same role. I don't know yet. I have got yet to see all the different departments, whether that sees me into the mechanical engineering degree through, and I like that, so I want to do that. But as Neve was just saying that she wants to do a master's degree, and I just want to have a conversation with the company when I'm a bit more sure of what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling about it all. I might want to do electrical as well as mechanical, so I'd be a bit of a multi-tool for any company for the future, or for this company. It depends where life takes me, really.
Personally, I hope to stay with Edwards and kind of pursue more of a sustainability route, because while I do enjoy what I'm doing at the moment, and you can kind of class it as because it's being efficient and measuring like waste and all that kind of stuff, but kind of going into a more specific route of sustainability within the company, and kind of helping push that agenda. And I would just love to go into that, because it's just always been something that I've loved and has intrigued me.
It's so cool because there's so many opportunities in that at the moment with like the science-based goals they were talking to us about this morning. So it's like, you're in a good place, Deb.
Yeah. Oh, it's so cute that you guys all want to stay at Edwards. I want to stay at Edwards forever. I really want to take advantage of the global reach that AtlasCopco has. I want to go to other countries if I can, if they'll have me. But I have to be a good engineer first, which is the hurdle to get over.
Because Edwards does have like a couple of worldwide sites, so I would love to kind of not if it's just like stay there for a long period, just like visit them and see the difference between how they work and how we work, and if there's anything we can learn from other sites.
We've got Karina at the moment. She's doing a placement from Cologne. So
wow.
She's come from Cologne. She's in service, but she's a physics graduate. So it's so cool just like chatting to her.
Oh, that's so cool.
Jasmine's dream.
Yeah, I'm like, I need to swap with her. I'd love to go to Germany. So thank you guys, firstly, for coming on the podcast and kind of sharing your journey. So I want to just kind of end on hopefully like a positive and inspirational note. So for anyone listening who's thinking about doing a degree apprenticeship or thinking about coming and working for Edwards, what piece of advice would you give them?
I'd say definitely pursue it. Like, it's really, really interesting. I'd say really enjoyable as well. I'm really enjoying the opportunity, but definitely think about it, because it's like quite a large commitment, especially if you're moving to, I think, potentially underestimated the workload of university and work. So yeah, just think it through. But it's definitely like such a good opportunity. And you get work experience at the end, which is so good.
Yeah.
I would agree with Neve on that. It is a commitment and it is something to think about. However, it's such a good opportunity if you do even just put your name forward for it.
Yeah.
Like, just taking that first step is such, like, it just opens your eyes to a completely,
That's all right.
completely other world, basically, where you work with so many different people who have so many different backgrounds, and it's good to learn from all of them and learn yourself and kind of find your own way of doing things rather than just being told how to do something.
I would say go for it, definitely. Over and above a full-time course, you've got more time to study, but in a degree apprenticeship, you're learning on the job. You have to study more maybe like in your spare time, but that puts pressure on you like you would have in a normal job. You know, you're expected to come up with the goods, and that's sort of preparing you for what life would be like after the university degree, before you've even graduated. So it's great for that reason, and it's great for its flexibility. To get paid while you learn is a great thing again, and not to have any tuition fees left for you to pay off afterwards as well. So the same position for a graduate as we are apprenticeships. You know, would we be paying back a student loan? No, really. So it's a win-win, like, all round.
And I think it makes all the difference, like doing it with a supportive company, because I keep saying to all the grads here, like, they've been so good if I have questions with uni work, like, they're so accommodating and lovely to help. But I think, God, how did you get through your degrees without to help you? Like, so that is also a big merit of the apprenticeship scheme.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, cool. And my advice would be to listen to our other podcast episodes because we go into much more depth than this in our kind of earlier episodes 1 and 2, I think, where we talk about fully kind of what a degree apprenticeship is like, and the application process as well, if you need help with applying. So definitely do have a listen to those other episodes.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thanks for watching, everyone.
Yeah, exactly. And we will see you in the next episode, hopefully.